He was also skipper on, I think it was Homedale Shipping Company. And I remember he telling me the first story, he was skipper on there, was going into the Chathams, and there was a bit of a gale coming up, and he was actually shitting himself because he was trying to take this boat into the harbour, and he ran into the quay, and he had to come up. He said, well, that's my career finished now, and it wasn't. Continued on from there. He then, as a lot of people will know, some fishermen here hopefully, he started the longline snapper industry in the bay, and he was subject to starting the Kojima, which you as well know has gone on to be a big industry. Unfortunately, it didn't get off the ground. Also, I think he was working for, I think it was Wonder Foods, which was Sea Lords. He was skipper on a boat from there for a long time. So he's had a hell of a career. I first bumped into Alastair, I think it was probably 1983, 1984. I'd been working for Solander Fisheries, and I'd just come back from Japan on the Daniel Solander, and there was the person who was running the company was a guy called Charles Huffler and Dick Potton, and I wasn't getting on too well with them, and they said, why don't you go down to the Polytech? They're looking for a tutor with a fisheries marine background. And I said, I've never taught in my life. So I went down there and chummed up with Alastair, and it was just the two of us. And I remember we were in G Block, which was just 2 rooms, and we had a ball teaching. It was just such good fun. And he had said, right, okay, the first course you can do, he said, you can do the lowest course, I'm going to do the senior course. It's typical of Alastair. And he said, right, I said, where's the notes? Oh, I said, you make your own up as you go along. And he said, just have a ball and do what you want. And I said, no, you've got to be more professional than that. So I spent hours and hours doing that. And I sat in Alastair's classes. I can remember distinctly, he always used to have his trousers hung down by his backside over here, and all the students were appearing on his backside in the classroom. And he said, start the lessons in the morning. We used to have about 20 minutes of jokes before we did any work. He was so relaxed, but he was very professional and well respected, and he taught me a lot. He introduced the Pacific Islands Fisheries Officer course to Polytech, and we fought to keep that there for many, many years, and that was his baby. And when I was there, I said, can I participate in this course? No, Angus. He said, you can't do that. He said, this is my baby. And I don't know whether, I think the people from the Polytech here now, I don't know whether that's still running. Is it still running? I hope it is, because he put a lot of effort into that. So what that really meant, that fishery officers from all over the Pacific came to Nelson, and they were trained in practical skills, navigation, a whole lot of things. And I can remember quite distinctly some of the laughs we used to have. He said, well, Angus, he said, my boat, that was the Tamarisk, he said, is up on the hard. He said, I'd like you to look after the classes, because I'm going to take all these students down. He said it's going to be a practical course. They're going to repaint my boat and do all the fiberglasses. I used to log all these hours as teaching responsibilities while we did all the work in the classrooms. He was a character. He also, at the time, there was a bit of a boom in fishing, where the introduction then in some freezers and sting draggers, and that was the boom of the orange roughy and the hokey. And we had a cadet course running there, which I don't think Alastair set that off. I think it'd been running for quite a while. But that was quite a baby. And a lot of those young lads who went on this cadet courses now are senior people in the fishing industry, probably some retired. A lot of them got through to very senior positions in the fisheries, skippers and managers ashore. And that was kept going. That was a really good thing, but the school was very fisheries orientated. What else can I tell you about Alastair? Oh, we used to go up to he had his yacht up in, I think we had that in Havelock, And I remember he had this dog, I can't remember the name of it, it was a wee pug, I think it was Jem was his name.
Yeah.
And we were on the yacht, I think you were there, Nessa, and a few, and Stu, and we were in the harbour, and this dog fell over the side. And those dogs sink like a stone. And Alastair with his sort of shorts on said, "You've got to go over the side, Angus, to get there." And I said, "No, I'm not going." So he jumped in and we rescued this pug dog. And he's always had an affection to these dogs most of his life. We said, well, that time it was pretty good, relaxed at the poly. We had 6 weeks holiday. And the only thing we used to look after there were the cadets and put them on fishing vessels around the harbour. But I remember one day I got a ring from Alastair. He said, "Angus, you've got a bit of a problem." I think it was the rising sun where they all used to go for a beer, which was, I think that's on Waimea Road somewhere. And these lads who were cadets, well, just young lads, just enjoying life, and got hold of some flares from the Polytech, and they lit these flares, and it blew a hole in the ceiling. So we had to go in there and talk our way out of it. Also, another funny incident, that they used to lodge the Pacific Island students, and some of the cadets used to be lodged, I think it was called the Nurses' Home. And there used to be this wonderful matron called Betty, who we used to make nets for, because she was a big outdoor person. And the lads used to play up, and Betty used to always ring me at home or ring Alastair at home. And we used to go down and sort all these problems out. They were chasing nurses around or having wild parties and bits and pieces. But that was part of our life. And on his yacht, and I had a wee boat as well, we used to take some of these cadets out down the Sounds and have a ball, just perhaps long lining and just mucking around, just having a general good time. Anyhow, I moved off to the Pacific. I'd had enough of working up at the school with politics just to drive me mad. Alastair had moved up to the Pacific, and I think the first time I met him after, oh wait a minute, no, there's another wee story in there. Yeah, we had to get a simulator, and the simulator had to have a radar attachment to it, otherwise the school would have closed down, because all the exams for all the tickets and things were done from examiners from Wellington. We had this wonderful examiner, I think he was called Tony Legg, and he used to frighten the hell out of all the students. He used to wear a bow tie, immaculately dressed, and he said, Angus, he said, I'm going to move all the tickets up to Auckland. He was very Auckland biased, this guy. And so we got this simulator, and Ali was working at the time as the in Noumea as the fisheries training advisor. And he said, we better promote this, Angus. He said, bring it over to Noumea, and we'll stick it up in the hall, and we'll run a few sort of courses on that. Anyhow, we shipped all this gear out there, and the thing got lost. I think it was in Nauru. And I was going through Nauru, and I remember going through to the customs, and I said, has this gone through? Oh yeah, it's gone through. And I said, well, what's all that gear in the back room over here? And there was all this simulator and stuff lying in there. So we got there, and I said to Alastair, I'm afraid we haven't got the simulator. He said, Christ almighty, and we did manage to get it. So two of us were sat up in the wee hours of the night, putting all these plugs and getting all this simulator running. That was quite a story when he was working over there. Then, afterwards, I was working in Vanuatu, running a fisheries school over there. And we had a FAD course, that's making fish aggregating devices up in, I think it was in Kiribati. Yeah, that's right. And so we'd finished this course, we'd laid some of these FADs out around the harbour. So we had a big party, but we had to catch a plane. There was only one plane went in there a week. And Alastair and myself and a few others had got into the grog in a big way. And so I managed to get out of bed in the wee hours of the morning. The plane was going, Alastair was still in bed. And I had to dress Alastair and put him on the plane to get him back to Noumea. Probably wouldn't like me talking about that. Lots of us associated with him there. One of my job was to put, because I was sort of fisheries and merchant navy background, to put STCW courses in place. And Alastair rang me up, or he emailed me at that time and said, you've got to include the fisheries tickets within the STCW setup in the Pacific. And I said, I've never given any thought to it, Alastair. And he was a big persuader in that. So we developed a system of tickets in the Pacific, which included recognition of fishermen in conjunction with merchant navy tickets. And that still stands to today. And that wouldn't have happened without Alastair. What else were we doing? Let's have a think. So those qualifications are pretty important. I did quite a bit of work for IMO, then I finished up working in the Solomon Islands. And we were looking for some tutors to run STCW courses with a 3,000 gross ton ticket. And I approached Alastair, knowing that he'd worked in the Solomons before, and he came and taught stability for us in the Pacific, along with another guy, Emo Nyman, is it Emo Nyman?
Emo.
Who was the Emo Nyman? He was the engineering tutor over there, and I think he was out there for 2 or 3 months with us. So I've had a really good association with Alastair. One thing, if you could sum up his life, he's honest, and he loved everybody. God rest you.